Hey, friend, and welcome to Perfect Periods, the place where we discuss how to navigate different periods of life while perfecting our actual period. What, like it's hard? I'm your host, fertility awareness educator, Berri on Berri, but you can call me Berri. Here, you'll be educated, equipped, and empowered with all the tools, knowledge, and resources you need to master your cycle so you can master your life. Now grab your favorite beverage and maybe a notebook, and let's dive right on in. Hello, Flo Tribe, and welcome back to another episode. And if you are new here, welcome to Perfect Periods. My name is Berri on Berri, but literally everyone calls me Berri. I am a fertility awareness educator by day, and by night, your period-loving bestie. I'm also the host of Perfect Periods and the founder of Optimize Your Flo. And today, I am finally going to share why I can't and why I won't stop talking about periods, PMS, fertility, hormones, women's health, and healing entirely. Now, in full transparency, I have recorded this episode that you're hearing 4 to 5 other times, and it's all been within the last week. And it's so funny because every time I think the episode is in its final form, I sleep on it, I walk away from it, and I'm like, nope, that's not the message. But today I finally nailed down the message. And it really comes back to the most frequently asked question I receive when I'm being interviewed, which is, how did you get started, or what's your story? And I always laugh when I'm asked this question because I'm like, I wish I could tell you I came out the womb ready to talk about periods, but I didn't. What I came out the womb ready to do was to educate people around healing, which brings me to really the topic about why I can't stop and won't stop talking about periods. But I think I could sum this entire episode up in this one sentence before I even get into the details. Passion is personal. Purpose is universal. And I think we're so often told to follow our passion. And I did follow my passion, but it also took me a long time to discover the purpose within my passion and how I was going to make an impact, but also make a life. I think that one of the most misleading things we deal with in society today is people telling us, follow your passion, it'll all be fine, blah, blah, blah. But little do you know, most of you probably don't know this, I failed my first time at entrepreneurship. But it wasn't the failure the first time. It was the passion that kept me going, and then the knowing that there was a purpose within my passion. Now, for context, I went to university for political science, Arabic, and German. And a lot of that was just because I wanted to work in women's health and women's rights. I really wanted to be a diplomat. I still think that I am one of the best people to navigate politics because at the end of the day, I'm not operating out of self, but rather out of integrity. But I realized that in the Western government's political systems, specifically in the United States, integrity, if you want to get far in politics in the United States, integrity has to be one of your bottom values, whereas for me, it is a top value, if not the most important value that I have, right? So that aside, that's what I went to university for. When I was in corporate America, 6 months in for working for a Fortune automotive company, or Fortune 500 automotive company at that, I burnt myself out really bad. And the option that I had was continue on the path that I was on and just know that I was going to have a lot of chronic conditions and issues, or change my habits, improve my life, and then go from there. Obviously, I chose the latter. So in 2017, I got certified as a functional nutritionist and a personal trainer. Fast forward to August of 2017, I remember putting in a 2-week notice and then just quitting before the 2 weeks was up because I was like, I cannot do this. This is awful. Now, what made it awful for me was not only the toll it was taking on my health, but the fact that I was withholding information and there was nothing that I could do about it. That is like very difficult for someone, right? And so, with that being said, I became passionate about my own healing, but I also became really, really passionate about being honest and truthful. Okay. So after quitting my corporate job, I tried to build the online following, the Instagram accounts, the workout plans, the meal plans, I tried to build a community, but I didn't know the first thing about community building, if I'm being honest with you. But I kept showing up, kept sharing my story. Then it was probably, I would argue July or August of 2018, I had to humble myself and realize that what I was doing, the way that I was doing it, wasn't going to be sustainable. And, I needed a new environment. So I moved to Florida in November of 2018 and tried my hand again. I worked part-time at different jobs until I found a full-time gig. And in my full-time gig, I also, on the side, really wanted to build a health coaching business. But again, I didn't know what I was doing and what it was all going to lead to. And then in January of 2019, I was just working on my side hustle because it was a passion. Okay, this was a project for me. I wasn't really focused on other people, but I interviewed Hannah Bailey, Miss Hannah Bailey. Gosh, I gotta check and see if I can find her Instagram. But I interviewed Hannah on my podcast, and she said periods are not supposed to be painful. And I said, excuse me? She's like, periods are not supposed to be painful. My dad's a doctor and he thinks it's so crazy that women are so normalized to period pain. And I agree. It's ridiculous. And I really wanted to argue with Hannah. But something about what Hannah said stuck with me. So I kept following. And I said, okay, I hate my period. I hate everything that has to do with being a woman once a month. Let me look into this. So as I'm looking into this for myself, right, I then say, okay, let me try to solve my own problem. Okay, so I talked to Hannah in January of 2019, and I had my first pain-free period in March of 2019. And I landed my first client focused on menstrual health in the end of March of 2019. I helped my client, Jillian, navigate PCOS and learn that there's an option outside of hormonal birth control. But I also taught her the necessary lifestyle habits to really begin to transform her PCOS. Now, Jillian and I have really remained close throughout the years, but Jillian was the first person that made me realize that my passion for health and transparency was linked to everyone else. Jillian was the person who helped me realize that there was so much purpose in what I was doing, even though I had no idea where that was going to take me. Okay? And that's why I can't and I won't stop talking about periods and PMS, fertility, hormones, and women's health and healing. Because I got to see firsthand with myself, but also my first client in the infancy of what I was doing, how much a woman who is healed and whole heals and helps make everyone else whole. Okay? Now, if we kind of go throughout 2019, I was still in my corporate job, still a little unsure as to what exactly I was going to do, but I knew that I had to take what I was doing with fertility and hormones full time. I knew that I was being distracted by my full-time job. And while it did serve its purpose, it funded the dream that was inside of me, I just knew I had to get out of what I was doing and where I was at. So in December of 2019, I did a vision planning workshop with my girl Kaylia Nicole, and I think it's Kaylia Nicole Wade now because she's a married woman, a whole wife, and her business coach Karina Ramos. Now, this was December of 2019, and I remember that day, that workshop, setting the intention in my heart and putting it on a piece of paper that I was going to leave my full-time job come August of 2020. I knew it. I remember going back to my condo I lived in Florida. I remember looking at my partner and saying, listen, I don't know where God's taking me, but we're going to run with it. And I remember him looking at me and be like, all right, go for it. And that was it. And ever since then, there's been this daily commitment and consistency with sharing period and PMS tips and cycle syncing, right? Well, let me share with you how funny God really is, because certain times we don't realize the power of our tongue. So listen, it's January 2020. I'm like, all right, we about to go all in August. I need to get a certain level of certification because I really need to know what it is I'm talking about, but I also need to deepen my own understanding, because having a certain level of understanding and a wide knowledge base is what's going to separate me from everybody else in the game. Period. That end of story. So I enroll in a program to become a fertility awareness educator, and I enrolled in a program to become a board certified integrative health practitioner. Okay. This is January of 2020. All right, y'all. I basically was just like, I have this dream in my heart. I'm going to take on a little bit of debt to get it out of my heart. But once it's out, we out here, okay? March of 2020, coronavirus happens, y'all. Rona. I got let go from my full-time job. Had a pity party for an hour. And the second hour of being unemployed, I was receiving an invite to speak at a socially distanced summit to talk about cycle syncing, to talk about periods, to talk about fertility, hormones, energy. Y'all, when I tell you that's all I needed to know, it's really all I needed to know, because God works in mysterious ways. And sometimes you'll be taken to your knees, and then God will say, let me see your faith. And y'all, 2020 was the most transformative year of my life, and arguably one of the best years of my life. Because that's when my faith, the faith of a mustard seed, is what got me through that year and allowed my gift to make room for me. See, I don't talk about my faith quite a lot on Instagram or TikTok, but I feel like sometimes we go to church here on the podcast. So let's go real quick, okay? Even if you're not really churchy, okay? Let's go to church. See, when you have the faith of a mustard seed and you take action with it, your gift makes room for you, and God works in mysterious ways. I didn't know I was going to get let go from my corporate job. But what I did know was that allowed me to have more space, time, and energy to create the Flo Academy. The Flo Academy was the first edition of Optimize Your Flo. And see, what's so crazy is leading up to me creating the Flo Academy, it was one opportunity after another opportunity after another opportunity. I was talking on people's podcasts that I remember being in 2017 when I quit my corporate job. I remember that first time around saying, I'm going to be on Angie Lee's podcast one day. I'm going to talk on the Gold Digger podcast with Jenna Kutcher one day. I'm going to be on She with Jordan Lee Dooley one day. Y'all, that was a dream in my heart in 2017. But I wasn't ready in 2017. But God called me and said, you're ready in 2020. Why? Because I had the faith of a mustard seed. And instead of getting discouraged, I got encouraged and excited. I discovered my passion, which led to my purpose, my passion for healing, my passion for truth, my passion for integrity and educating, okay? My personal passion led to my universal purpose, which is educating, equipping, and empowering women to heal and help themselves, beginning with their menstrual cycle. See, y'all not excited enough for me. And honestly, some days I'm not even excited enough for me. But what I can tell you is my passion led to my purpose, and that purpose is why I can't and I won't stop talking about periods, PMS, cycle syncing, fertility, hormones, energy, and anything else to do with women's health and women's healing. Now, I'm going to take it a little bit deeper, okay? Stay with me. I promise I'm not going to take too much longer, but stay with me. Because my belief is that when a woman heals and helps herself, she heals and helps generations to come and generations before her. But see, a lot of you would only stop and know about the cycle syncing. You'd only stop at the periods. But let me tell you this. Let me speak over you, because this podcast isn't really about me. It's actually about you, because you're a part of my purpose. My passion is what's yielding purpose to continue empowering you, okay? When you're a healed woman, when you're a whole woman, it doesn't matter what you are facing. You overcome. You heal. You look back at the people who came before you and you help them heal, or you help them see themselves, or you help them grow. Okay? And you look at those next to you who are walking side by side with you, saying greatness is within you. Hey, keep your head up. Hey, keep going. You walk with those side by side with you, right? But you also begin to think about those after you. Y'all, I promise you, I didn't once think about how many people were going to be impacted by the red raspberry leaf tea. We all know where it started. Okay, don't play with it. Don't play with it. Don't play with it. Okay, we know I started with red raspberry leaf tea back in 2019, showing you all. Then it got publicized in 2020 because I was all over the place talking about it. And now I can't even get red raspberry leaf tea because it's always sold out. How about that? But we all know where it started, right? Not with me, but with God. God's the one that created it. I just kind of was like, hey, girl, you tired of them cribs? Drink some red raspberry leaf tea. Okay? But with that being said, I really, really hope today's episode encourages you, because I often talk about me, but everything I do is really about we. Of course, I share my advice with you, right? I mean, that's why you're here. You like my tips, my advice, my perspective, because it challenges you to look at things differently. And with the new edition, with the new refresh, and really the rebrand of Optimize Your Flo coming up, I just thought it would be the most appropriate to share my story, because, again, my passion is personal, but the purpose of my life is universal. And I am so grateful that you allow me to be in your ear and to share this space, whether you think it's cheeky and sassy or you find wisdom. I'm so grateful to be a part of your journey, and I'm so grateful you're a part of mine. And with that being said, I am going to end today's episode, but first, I want to invite you to do something. If you follow me over on Instagram, specifically if you follow Optimize Your Flo, you may have noticed that I'm releasing a physical product within the next 45 days. If you want to be a part of like the focus group that's helping build out the product and all of that, make sure you're on the close friends list. I'm going to put a poll up because I would love to have your input. There's a really good chance you may not have seen, but the first product coming out is a weekly productivity planner. We are going to be utilizing the infamous PACE method, but I'm going to share with you finally, like, not only how I do it, but you'll be able to do it yourself, because I think sometimes I think it's really clear, but then it's not. But this piece of paper is going to help make it clear. And before you ask me any questions, I do not have a price point for you yet. The second I know the price point, I will put a pre-order up for you to be able to get your hands on it. I'm just deciding on a printer. There's a lot of like details that goes into having a physical product that I never really knew about. And so, I'm learning that, but I would love to take you on this journey with me. So again, if that's something you want to be a part of, make sure you request to be on close friends. I'll make a poll. Actually, I'll let you tap a sticker and you'll know that it's the one for the planner because you'll see a pin pad and you'll be able to tap in. But I'm so excited and I hope you are too. And I really hope that today's episode has just given you another reason to keep going in whatever it is you're doing. And remember, passion is personal. Purpose is universal. As always, love you, mean it. Hey friend, if you enjoyed today's episode, can you do me a solid and leave a rating and review? And if you have some friends going through a different period of life where they want a little bit more peace, or perhaps they just want a better period, make sure you share this with them, because here we're all about having a period and a life, an enjoyable one at that. As always, I'm sending big love and flowy vibes.